Hey you guys, welcome to another edition of Power Purls Unplugged. I love doing this every single Friday. I have so much fun. Have I ever told you guys that? I have so much fun. And today I'm going to be talking about a subject that I absolutely love, and it's called mind mapping. And I spoke about this a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, in my private Patreon group, and we had a lot of fun talking about this topic. And I'm going to dig into this and kind of also pay forward some of the cool stuff that I've been learning from a new book that I've been reading by Kara and I will talk about that in just a little bit. But the beginning of February, I went to, and I can't believe it's like over a month ago already, maybe almost a month, that I went to CraftCon in Columbus, Ohio, and I met some really cool people. And I also met Tara Swiger, and I got her new book, Map Your Business, which I'm going to talk about. And that is what inspired me to want to talk about this topic today, and mind mapping, which is something that I've been using for years because I'm a visual person. You know, before I was ever a designer, knitter, I was an illustrator. I was a creator. I've had sketchbooks and I've made doodles my whole life for as long as I can remember. And so, you know, that's how I've kind of taken my level of note-taking, I guess you could say, is I, turned it into a visual experience. And when I discovered mind mapping, that was it. It just blew me away. So there are methods that you can use. My favorite is definitely still the good old-fashioned pen. And then, of course, I've got lots of highlighters and markers and that sort of stuff. Excuse me. Tickle in my throat. And so I'm going to share some of those tools, but also like how I feel inspired to do this. So before I really dig in, because I see some of you guys are starting to come into the room here, I'll just really quickly share who I am. My name is Kara Gott Warner, and I'm the host of Power Purls podcast. And I jump on here every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I share a variety of things when it comes to our yarn crafting life. I help newbie knitpreneurs and hobby knitters down their path, their yarn crafting path. And I also talk about those in-between times, like what's happening on the podcast, or, in between those times when I publish a new episode. Today I actually did publish an episode this morning, to be exact, and I'll talk about that towards the end of this video. But there's always like other little things that are happening in between. So I thought, you know what, this would be a really great thing for me to just jump on here and start talking about that with you guys every single Friday. And so that's it. So that's what led me to this particular topic of the week. And again, so it's mind mapping. And I'm going to talk about how I do it and just how it works, in case any of you are thinking about integrating this, because you don't have to use it just for your business, but you can use it for a project. You can use it for anything in your life. I use it for even my morning routine, believe it or not. So when I wake up in the morning, how do I want my morning to look? And even though I pretty much do the same thing day in and day out, there's something really magical, amazing, whatever you want to call it. Magical, that's a good word. But to write it down, to use that pen. I do a lot of my mind mapping with a pencil because I usually like to erase things if I need to, because I write way too much stuff. And it also, the pencil helps me to sort of distill and condense and change and move things around. But there are other options. You can actually use digital mind mapping software. I'll share some of those resources towards the end too, because it's really a lot of fun to just basically use an app and move things around. So you don't have to worry about the pencil. You know what I mean? So anyway, before I dig in, what I'd like to do is ask you, you guys are here so far, there's a few people watching. Where are you viewing from? Say hello. So far I see Troy. Hey, how are you? I haven't seen you for a while, Troy. Where you been? I was just thinking about you a couple weeks ago, and I know that you would always pop in during my Wednesday videos. I used to do a video called "The Editor Wants to Know" over on the Creative Knitting Magazine Facebook page, but scaling back, and also because I have entered a new creative chapter, I'm going to talk about that, you guys. I'm going to talk about that. It's something I've been keeping under wraps, and I'll share that at the end of this episode, or this video episode, I should say. Because I don't want to get off track. But there are some changes with my status as the editor of Creative Knitting. So I'm going to share those towards the end as a whole separate thing today. Because, people have been saying, what's going on? What's the deal with the magazine? So anyway, we will get into that, okay? So, so Troy, working. I get it. I know this is like, well, it's lunchtime. I know for you, because Troy, you're in New York City, so we're on the same time zone. I'm trying to do this so at least most of the Eastern time zone people can watch, hopefully on their lunch break. But that's the beauty of the rewind, or the replay, I should say. Because the thing that I learned about Facebook is Facebook Live is that most people aren't watching live. And I'm okay with that. Because when I first started doing this, I got, I'd say, a little bit anxious, or not anxious, like just a little bit worried, that people weren't watching live. But it doesn't matter, because most people are going to watch it later, because it's hanging out in the feeds for a lot longer. So I'm cool. You guys can watch on replay. Totally fine. So I'm going to say hello to some of you guys. Jana is here. So nice to see you, Jana. You are a dedicated woman. I hope you got my email. I think I sent it last week. You had some questions about TNNA. And once I get my membership in order, I can always be, I'm happy to write a letter for you, a letter of recommendation. But also I can help guide you to see if you want to get letters from other people, and just kind of help you maneuver or kind of work through the process for starting your membership with and I say TNNA for anyone watching that doesn't know. TNNA is an acronym, or it's I guess, do we call that an acronym? But like the initials for TNNA is the National Needle Arts Association. So that's for anyone that is a professional in the industry or wants to become a professional. You can go to the show. It's a trade show, so you have to get accepted before they accept your membership. Sharon, hello, nice to see you. Olivia from Oregon, nice to have you here. Elaine is here. Let's see. Jana said I did get that one. I emailed them after that about minimum requirements, but they haven't heard back. That's cool. You know what? Maybe a follow-up. I know that I will just say quickly before we get into the topic, because we're supposed to be talking about mind maps here, but they've gone through a different kind of like a changeover in management there. And I know that right now they're reviewing a lot of the class proposals for the June show, which is in Columbus, Ohio. So I know they've been busy with that. So hang in there, Jana, and I'm sure you'll find out something very soon. Okay, so are you guys ready? I want to see the thumbs up. Are we ready for the topic? We're going to go into mind mapping. You guys good to go? I'm going to wait for those thumbs before I start. Take a sip of my coffee. This is my new mug. It's actually a mug that I bought my husband for Christmas, but since many of you guys love my mug, I decided this is going to be my trademark mug for the videos. Awesome. Because I know, we see the mustache mug, but I saw the beard mug and I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. So if any of you are friends with me on Facebook, you'll know that my husband has a beard, and I was thinking of getting a white Sharpie and just like using or kind of penciling or marking in the white, making parts of it white, just like his beard, because he's like dark like this, and then white, white, and white. So it's actually very, very distinguished. All right. We're going to dig in. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how I do it. And again, I'm just for people that are jumping in late, I usually give a quick little mini teaser and then a second kind of intro. So again, my name is Kara Gott Warner, and I'm the host of Power Purls podcast. And I jump on here every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I talk about things that are happening in our yarn life, our yarn crafting life, I should say, what's happening in between the episodes on Power Purls podcast, because there's so many things happening. And I also have a passion for helping newbie craftpreneurs, knitpreneurs, anyone that is going down that path to wanting to start a business or enhance their yarn crafting life. So for anyone that's hobby, we can call you hobby designers, hobbyists, whatever. It's all, it all works, and I'm here to help everyone. So let's see. Oh, Troy says, love that mug for Movember, promoting men's prostate cancer in November. Awesome. Cool. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Oh, and they have a silver Sharpie too, says Jana. Got to get that one. All right. So I'm gonna surprise my husband, and he'll probably freak out when he sees it, but so what? All right. So we're going to dive in here, and all right. So we're going to talk about, oh, before I forget, you guys, please, could you take a moment and share out this video so that your friends, I'm sure that many of you guys have knitting friends, crocheters. If you could share this right now, it's super, super easy to share the video. So if you could do that, I always forget because I get really super excited. So if you could, I would appreciate it. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about mind mapping, and I'm paying forward some of the things that I learned when I was at CraftCon, and also about the book that I purchased there. And I'm excited because I got to meet Tara Swigert, the one and only Tara Swigert, who is the host of, I always want to say Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's a show on HBO. I don't even think it's on anymore because I don't have HBO. But it's Explore Your Enthusiasm. So if any of you guys are in the middle, Tara says, the middle of your business, of your yarn, of your crafting business, and that applies to crafters in general, yarn crafters, knitters, crocheters. If you're going up that path to design, she has an awesome podcast, and I am a regular listener. I absolutely love what Tara is doing. It's awesome. So mind mapping. So how is it done? So really, I'm going to have to flip the camera to start talking about this. So I'm going to do that in just a moment. But the concept really is, and I can show you on my, I'm just keep looking here because I have all of the many books and pads that I have my mind maps in. And this is a funny thing because, and I kind of had an aha moment, or let's call it a duh moment maybe, I don't know. But whenever I do these episodes, when I'm preparing, I always mind map them, or I make it very visual, because that's what I gravitate towards. Being a visual person, my background has always been as a person that sketches and draws and paints, and I have a background in illustration and a degree in illustration. But even before that, I was always drawing and making things more visual, because my whole thing was, instead of the ideas being written ideas, I want them to be, chunkier. I know that's a weird word, but like that they just pop out. So I just wanted to show you really quick. You won't be able to understand the words, and it's okay because I'm talking about it here, but you can see the visual aspect of it. And I'll flip it around to show you more kind of actionable ways to understand this. But this is today's talk, you guys. So Facebook Live today. And as you can see, I have the areas that are in circles. Those are the main points, the main things, like my intro and who am I, and what is the topic, and I highlight those, and then I create spokes off of those things to talk about my subtopics. And as you can see up here, it's kind of funny. I highlighted share, and I even almost forgot to say it because I always forget to ask everybody to share the video. So that's kind of how I do it. And then it really does keep me, and also I write, as you can see, it's very big because it really does help to keep me on track. So I'm going to actually flip you around, bringing you a little bit closer here, which I probably could have done from the beginning because I have changed up the way that I'm doing my videos for a little while anyway. So anyway, here's what I just showed you guys. so you can see the kind of the way that my brain works on paper. This is literally like my brain on paper. And so, like I said, the circles are like the main idea. And I start with a teaser. So whenever I start this video, and this is maybe like a good little teaching on how you guys can get into doing live video, especially if you guys are, wanting to start a fiber business of some sort, or, maybe let's not use that big word like business. You just want to get out there and brand yourself. Okay. And video, by the way, is the best way to do it right now. And Facebook is making it really easy for us to get noticed on video. So if you are interested in this idea, then mind mapping could be your ticket to doing this, because a lot of the times I integrate my book, what I'm talking about. I'll kind of bring that into the whole process, because this book right here it's really inspiring. It's like this little notebook. Make it, every moment counts. So sometimes it might pop up and I might be looking at it and reading from this book, because you know what? It's okay. I think that when I'm talking to you guys, I'm very natural, but just to help keep myself on point, if I glance, and if you were to do this and you glance down at your notes, that's okay. You can totally do that. So I start with my teaser, talk about what I'm going to do, asking you to share. And like I said, today I'm going to pay forward this information from Tara's book, Tara Swiger. Her book is right here, Map Your Business, as you guys can see. And I'm going to open that book up in a moment and show you exactly how far I've come. And also, why am I using this book? Like, why do I need to map my business? Because I have some big news. So I thought maybe I would share the big news with you guys today. And it has to do with creative knitting. So if any of you know, you can catch me. You can beat me, I should say. You can beat me to the punch. But I think that maybe some of you do. But I'm going to talk about how I'm using Tara. I'm saying her name wrong because I'm Kara, so I just automatically say Tara. But she pronounces her name Tara. Okay, so back to my mind map. And so I just finished my little intro, and that's the next phase of any kind of good Facebook Live, since I'm using this as an example. And so after the teaser, because most people don't jump on right away, then after you guys are hanging out and we're having a grand old time, I talk about who I am in more detail. That I'm the host of Power Purls podcast and I inspire yarn crafters, so on and so forth. And like I was just saying, I wrote here former editor, ED. So now you guys know the story. And I'm going to explain exactly what's happening there. So I'm going to keep you in suspense. I asked you to say where you were viewing from. I always do that. Where are you from? Thumbs up. We already did that. Cool. Love the thumbs up, you guys. And anytime you feel like giving a thumbs up, so far so good. You guys like this? I mean, I'm using this as an example if you were to do a Facebook Live video, but this can be applied to anything. This can be applied to a project like you want to do a new project for starting your indie design business, or you want to start working with magazine editors and you want to map out every little piece of what it's going to take. And you use your own intuition when you map it out, not what other people tell you to do, what feels right to you. And you start using these circles and with spokes. And that's how you do it. So how is mind mapping done? I just explained it. So here it is. Mind mapping is my main topic. That's the topic. And then I'm explaining how it's done. So you have these circles with the little spokes. And so these are all the little areas, the little spokes here. So it's basically, a visual representation of, what your ideas, the main topic, and the spokes are offshoots. So for example, let's just say, so we've got mind mapping here. Let's say it's patterns, like it's you're starting a business and or you want to write patterns. Yeah, let's use that. you have that in the center as your circle. Let's keep it really simple, right? Really, really super simple. And then the spokes are finding a tech editor, learning how to grade, sketching, getting a knitter's notebook, getting a calculator. I don't know, like those types of things. Starting to research the guidelines for the magazines that I'm interested in, and so on and so forth. So, I think that makes sense. And aside from this process, doing it by hand, there's also a digital, a lot of digital applications for this. And one of them that I like is called a MindMeister. So that's a digital version of how to mind map. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So let's do a little bit of a show and tell, shall we? If I could flip my camera back. Hello. Here we go. All right. So you guys still with me? We still got the thumbs up? I hope so. Okay. So I am going to, let's see, what am I going to do here? Because I probably shouldn't have flipped that camera around just yet. Probably have to flip it back because everything I'm going to show you has writing on it. And I was going to show you another process or another mind map that I've created. So let me grab you guys here, and I'm going to flip it around one more time. Okay. So here's, this is a Moleskine notebook. You guys know I talk about Moleskine a lot. And believe me, I'm not an affiliate, so, but gosh, I should be because I use these notebooks so much. But this is my current business, right? This is my current business model. And I have the podcast with the different offshoots. I have my Stitchucation workshop, which some of you guys have been a part of. In January, we did our last, well, I should say the first one. The next one's coming up in April. I'll talk about that later. My live videos every Friday. These videos that I do with you guys every week are so important for my business because I get to engage. First and foremost, I get to engage with you guys, and it's so important to me. And I know it has become important to you guys as well. And then also audio workshops. And then we moved down to Patreon. The reason why Patreon is here in this circle, because that is basically how I'm making my living as a podcaster. So if any of you guys are familiar with the community on Patreon, that's kind of where I have a group of people that support the show and share the love for as little as $1 a month. And I pay my knowledge forward through, offering extended episodes, workshops, which is there's one coming up, and, just some different things. And so that's the community, and it's become a really amazing place to engage with everyone and also get a lot of feedback. We can really talk about ground level stuff together. And then here is my Etsy shop, which is under the label I have here, I Got Knits. So my Etsy shop, I started it in 2009. So if you were to search for it, you would see it, but there's nothing in it because it was left dormant. It was left dormant because I was, focusing on being an editor for the last 6.5 years. But I'm going to be going back to that very, very soon. And so that's another piece of my business plan. And, how does, and then Ravelry is kind of an offshoot here. I'm not really quite sure. Ravelry is another, I have a Ravelry shop as well, but there's only so much you can do at a time. And I feel like I want to pour my energies into Etsy, Patreon, and, of course the podcast is the main vehicle. And then down here, the reason why I have this sort of in a box, if this makes sense, so all this stuff radiates down to Instagram. Because Etsy, my main vehicle for marketing is going to be on Instagram. And if any of you know, if you have Etsy shops, you'll know that Instagram it's a no-brainer. Like that's the place to really do it because it's your online portfolio. And back when I started my Etsy shop, there was no such thing as Instagram. That's how long ago, and long ago. I mean, in internet years, 2009, a long time ago. All right, you guys, and I'm not on my regular, I'm not using my regular tripod, so I'm one-handed today. Here's another one. So I have this is another Moleskine. This is called a chapter book. I love these. You can see why. It opens and closes. Oh, I just lost my page because I wanted to show you. Oh, here it is. Because it always lays flat. It's a book that lays flat no matter what page you open it to. And there are, if I can do this, there are little sections. Look, oh, chunk it down. See, I love that. Chunk it down. I love using Sharpies, writing big, writing small, because these are the things that stick out, because I am so distracted and I need help. So this was a one-page business plan that I wrote a while ago. And, it was while I was still doing other projects and focusing mostly on the magazine. And when I had my other podcast going, it was when my other podcast was live. I had a podcast called The Morning Cool Down. I still have it, but only a few episodes are like live and out in the interwebs. So you can see that this is looks almost a little bit more structured, because, like I said before, I love using a pencil. I use a pencil. You can see that there's also lots of eraser marks. Lots of eraser marks, but you can see that I had a very structured approach. So instead of the circles, I used boxes. So the podcast was first, 2 podcasts, Power Purls, Morning Cool Down, and then the products. And so these were some product ideas, which some of them I've implemented, but others I just haven't been able to. And then passive income, some different things. And this was, I think Patreon might be in this list somewhere, but I had way too many ideas. But you know what? At this point, I was still sort of feeling my way through things. And then finally, getting to something like this, which is much more succinct, is probably the best way to describe it. There's more clarity, and I can actually work through those things. Okay, so now on to Tara's book, Map Your Business. And so I picked this up at CraftCon in Columbus a few weeks ago, maybe almost close to a month ago. And it was the first time I ever went to CraftCon. It's a pretty cool conference for I keep saying yarn crafters because I can't, it's become this habit. Crafters, but mostly people that have a physical business, people that do craft shows and that sort of thing. But there were a lot of great bits of information that I could garner from being there. And Tara had a really amazing workshop was along the lines of this class, and it was basically to create your customer path. And I think that's a workshop that Tara teaches at other venues, and I loved the way that she laid it out in a very structured way, because even though I've got for myself the left right brain thing going on, the creativity, but I'm also extremely structured because for years I worked as a bookkeeper. I like things in boxes, as you could tell from my other mind map. And that's kind of how she led us through this, where we had to make columns for the customer path and where do you lead that customer. And I thought it was amazing. It was amazing. So, okay, so I'm going to kind of go right from the beginning here. And oh, isn't that nice? I have it signed. Tara signed the book for me because I had a chance to actually meet her in person. And we had such an awesome conversation. She's just as nice in person and genuine in person as she is in all of her podcast videos. And by the way, she's also on Periscope too. And I love when she takes her little walks and she just talks about, sometimes like what's happening in her life and mixes that in with a business topic. Because that's, at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, if you guys are thinking of going down that path, if any of you already are, it can be lonely. It can be lonely. But, like life in general, we have those obstacles. So starting a business isn't always rosy because, it's an uncommon thing. It's definitely an uncommon thing. that we're doing. So I just wanted to get to, some of the note-taking areas. So the one thing that Tara suggests in the beginning of the book, which I highly appreciate, because I'm like that. I treat, her suggestion was to treat it like a workbook. And I treat most of my books like that. I make notes in the margins because it's my book, and I'm going to go back to it. I'm not going to read a book and put it on a shelf so it like collects dust. Because, okay, if you're reading a novel or something like that, then of course. But a lot of the books that I read are business books, or, they're just, I don't know, I like self-help books. I like books that are going to inspire me. I like books that are going to teach me something. And if they're going to teach me something, I want to really write inside of them. And so, so I started making notes down here, and I love that. Get oriented. That's very cool. So I decided that I would jump right in. And this was probably the night after I got home from CraftCon, and I started, kind of mapping out. She asked, questions. Where are you right now in your business? What do you have to overcome? What challenges do you see ahead? And then, so on and so forth. And I took lots of notes, as you can see. But then she starts to give you lots of space to expand. And so, in one of the first areas of the mind mapping sections, she explains that she encourages you to draw your universe. And you guys, if you want to check out her example of mind mapping, you can go to taraswiger.com/mind map, because she's got a nice little video for how she does hers. So this is a nice simplified version of a different type of mind map, my life. So as you can see, you can apply this to anything, which is why I thought this is quite a perfect topic for us today. We can apply it to anything that we're doing in our yarn crafting lives, of course. So my life. So here are the little things. I love meditation. I love yoga, creativity. I love to podcast because I'm a talker. Running, entrepreneurship, teaching, family, maker, vegan. I love to cook delicious vegetarian and vegan dishes, nutrition, wellness, Dharma practice, care for animals and the environment, reflection. So this is me, man. This is totally me in a nutshell, to be totally honest. Love to run. I have a passion for business. I'm a wife and a mom. I love to art journal. So that is the beginning. So that was what Tara said. First, look at your life and create your mind map, and then go back and take a moment, to feel, gratitude for what this represents. And then Tara suggests to draw your business universes, which is what I did next. As you can see, this is a crazy busy area here. It's a lot different than the one I just showed you before, which is a little more condensed. And that's why, pencils are good. I like to dig in and refine and refine and refine. So your first mind map, I think you should just dive in and just be spontaneous and just see what happens. It's almost like, have you ever, like when people say just brainstorm and just start writing whatever comes natural? I'm trying to think of the word for that. It's not brainstorming, but there's another brainstorm. No, I just said brainstorm. There's another, I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of it. Anyway. Silly me. But anyway, so I just started, what I did was I drew this circle. That's the first thing I did. Power Purls podcast, again, Patreon community, which you saw on my other mind map. And then everything this time that I could think of that came out of it. So, oh my gosh, it's crazy because I've got other websites. I have a blog. I have affiliates. I have free challenges. I have, thinking of an ambassador program, the morning cool down, all this stuff, news, and then of course social media and what I'm doing there, and the different Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, lead pages, guest posting, which is something I'd like to do more of. And by the way, guest posting, you guys, is a really great way to grow your presence if you want to build a platform. Some places pay, some, big sites pay, but others don't, and that's fine because it should be about building your community. So if you want to get into growing your community and your platform like I'm actually trying to do, because there's lots of big changes happening, it takes time. It takes time. And so there's that. That's what I did. And then the Etsy shop is down here. I got knits, my ready to wear, and some other products that I do. And that's as far as I got. So what's a typical day? Well, that's next, Tara. And so I'm still working my way through the book, and I'm really, really enjoying it tremendously. And these are other little tools of the trade, but I'm just going to show you now, and then I'll flip it around and talk about a few other little things. So these are like gold. I love these things. I do. So while I'm showing you, because I want to really get you guys to talk about this, do you guys mind map? Have you done mind mapping before? What style do you use? Do you do a written? Have you done it written? Do you like to do it that way? Or have you used any digital mind mapping? Or do you have your own way of getting visual with an idea? So in the comments, go for it. These are great too, because they're like little, these are kind of rigid, and they just kind of pop out, and they go into the, they can be little tabs, sticky tabs, which I have right here in my book. Because they don't really, they don't bend, because they're plastic. So those are great. So those two things, all these little stickies for, again, making things very visual. They're little tiny stickers, and these came with my Moleskine Passion. It's a passion planner, so it's a wellness journal. And then more of these. These are great. They come with the Moleskines. And then this is a sticky pad. Have you guys seen these? This is like gold too. These really large sticky pads. So if you've got notes, let's say it's just like for the day, and then I'll write on this, and then I can get rid of it. Or, just keep it handy, because it's like a little pad. And I know for myself, having a way to keep notes in other notebooks, these are great for that, So flipping you guys around again, and kind of shifting gears. Can do this. So here we are back. I'm back in business here. So I hope you liked that. I hope you enjoyed it. If any of you guys are still watching, so and I said, any of you guys watching. I can't talk. Too much coffee, by the way. Too much coffee. If you use mind maps, I'd love to know. If you found this useful, just give me a thumbs up. If you think that you will implement, if you think you would implement any of this, that would be great. And again, like I said, if you guys want to start getting into doing live video, mind map it out. Mind map it out. All right, so some newsy things. I'm going to shift some gears, you guys. I'm going to shift some gears and talk about, what's happening. What's happening on the podcast. So episode 57 just went live this morning. And it's with, I always say Shay, because I've been working with her. She's been with Creative Knitting. She's an Annie's Signature Designs contributor, but the real way to pronounce her name is Chi, which I found out when I spoke to her for the first time during our interview. I've been working with Chi for the past year or so, through email. She sends her proposals in and so forth, but never really had a conversation. And it was really a nice conversation and surprising, because there were some things that Chi shared in the episode that were unexpected. She gave some actionable advice. Like, she's very soft-spoken, and the words that she uses are very meaningful. And she gave some great advice for anyone that wants to design, because especially if you're going to create patterns, designing patterns, if that's your thing, your end product is the pattern, right? And so in order to produce that end product, it's not just about the pretty swatches and the amazing sketches, which is a big part of it, because you want your vision, you want to relay your vision to an editor, to a yarn company, let's say. But beyond that, are you going to deliver the pattern? Are you really going to deliver what the editor wants? And so a couple weeks ago, I shared 5 questions that you should ask yourself. So if you go to the archives on the Power Purls Facebook page, you'll see that it says the 5 big questions you should ask yourself before starting a knitwear pattern. Because when you put the ball back in your court, or you put the questions back on you. And these are very simple questions that sometimes we forget because, you know, that phrase, you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't. Something as simple as, you know, who's going to want this? Do I even want it? So that's a good one. If you don't want it, then I don't know who else would want it. I mean, to be honest, I mean, there may be a few people that would want what you make because maybe you're designing for a different audience. But I guess what I'm really trying to get at here is a lot of the designers that I talk to on Power Purls podcast, they always design something that they know they would wear. So what that means is they're designing something that they're really connected to, something that feels really authentic to them. So they're probably going to attract those people that will resonate with their taste, right? And so if you stay connected to that, you can tune into what an editor wants based on the themes that they're putting out there, and also infuse it with your style and what you think, what you like, your aesthetic. So the episode is live and you can get it on iTunes, so it's free, but you can also get the extended version, because in the extended version there's a little mini training there that she offers, and it was, again, another one of those unexpected things. So the extended, and they're unedited too, by the way. So I get on and I press record and we just go. There's no music, there's no bells and whistles, and so those are available to the community. So you can check that out. If you want to go to powerpurlspodcast.com/community, you can learn more about becoming a part of that and getting your hands on those extended episodes. Because in this particular one with Chi, it's about an extra 20 minutes at the end, and I think even like about 15 minutes at the front end as well. So it's, it's like maybe an hour and it's an hour and a half, more than an hour and a half long for the unedited version. So I think you're going to really like it. So what else? Okay, so I wanted to share some news with you guys. I have started a new creative chapter. And I say creative in air quotes for anyone that's watching. So I was the editor. I'm saying now, the former editor of Creative Knitting Magazine. I wasn't quite sure how to announce this because on paper, I'm still the editor and I will be through the winter 17 issue. But I'm no longer actually working on the magazine. So I've started a new creative chapter, no longer with Creative Knitting. And there is a new editor. And I know that the magazine is in very, very capable hands. Her name is Karina Ferguson. So maybe some of you guys have seen her. I know some of you guys that are, maybe you guys are members of the Fiber Boss Collective. I know she hangs out over there. And but anyway, so she's the new editor. And I can't wait to see what she's going to do with the magazine. And so anyway, so I've decided, and it's all good. You know, we all need to start new chapters, right? Nothing lasts forever. And I really decided that I was time to really pour my energies into Power Purls podcast and building the community, you know, building this great thing that's already starting. And I'm really excited about it. And I'm gonna give it a go and see what happens. So that's my big news. And, you know, I was with the magazine for about 6.5 years, and working with Annie's Publishing, who is the parent company, the owner of the magazine. I was with Annie since 2007, and I started as a freelancer, working on the hardcover books. So we're talking like almost 10 years, right? Did I do the math right? But when I reflect back on that, I'm just like amazed. I mean, this was a big decision, and I'll admit that I had some emotional moments about it, and a few crying sessions. But because, you know what, it's a big deal. Anything, you know, that's been a part of your life for a period of time, even if you feel like it's time to move on, you know, it's still like, you know, it's like it's almost. I don't want to use the word divorce. That's not the right word. But, you know, it's going to have an effect on you, you know? So it was a big part of my life and a very meaningful part of my life. And I know that some of you guys actually found me through creative knitting. Like Troy, I know that's where you first started following me during my Wednesday videos. So that's the news. That's the news that I was kind of holding out to share. And like I said, I know many of you guys know already. And some of you have been saying, what's going on? Oh no. And it's not an oh no. So that's why I thought it's time. It's time to talk about it. And I've already communicated to industry people and a lot of the designers that I worked with. So I made sure that I did that before leaving, but I wasn't quite sure how to approach it to the world at large. But now I am. And so later today, I'm going to be announcing more on Facebook, on my profile, and just really talking about it. And so that's it. So that's the news on creative knitting. And then also Stitchucation shawls. We've been talking for a while. I hope that's okay with you. I'm feeling super chatty today. Stitchucation shawls. So if you guys joined me in January, I did Stitchucation, the very first in the series, and it was through the Power Purls community on Patreon, and it was really a success. I mean, we had such an awesome time, and by the way, those free videos are still alive and well in the archives. So there's a playlist. So if you decide to go to Stitchucation, you can see the group of videos there. But this next series is going to be a little bit different, and I'll quickly explain it. So I want you guys to save the date. So we're talking April 1st. April 1st is when it's going to kick off as a challenge, and it's called Stitchucation Shawls. So remember the shawl babies? The shawl babies are back, baby. The shawl babies are back. We're going to be doing a lot of different methods, digging into the shawl, different ways to cast on, different ways to shape the center stitches, the side stitches, and how this middle becomes the ground, the canvas for the stitches that you're going to use. It's going to be a 5-day challenge for starters, April 1st. Sweet Georgia Yarn is actually going to be sponsoring this Stitchucation Shawls experience. And so 5 days for the challenge, free to everyone. So I'll send you more info so you can sign up and reserve your spot. And I'm going to really start talking about it soon, so you have time to go get some yarn, get all the tools that you need. Sweet Georgia is going to be giving a little bit of a special discount, so you can use the yarn for this particular challenge, which is also leading into the workshop if you want to continue and really go deep. The workshop is going to go deep because the workshop starts 3 days, so the challenge will end. Starts Monday the 1st through Friday, and then there'll be a little bit of a break, and then the workshop starts on the 10th of April. Full workshop, so it's 5 weeks. 5 lessons, 5 weeks. And I think you guys are going to absolutely love it, okay? So if you want to learn more, it's going to be through the community. I don't have a landing page yet for the challenge, but you can see what's happened in the past if you go to powerpurlspodcast.com/community, and then you can search Stitchucation, and I think there are some public posts there that you'll see what happened the last time. So that's it. So you guys, if you haven't already shared, please share. This is great. I'm excited that we were able to spend some time before the weekend kicks off. So that's it. That's all I got for you. I'll see you next week, and I hope you enjoy my latest episode with Chi Lamb. So you can catch that over on powerpurlspodcast.com. And that's it. So I'll see ya. Bye. Have a good one.